Hey guys, this is Drew. I wanted to create a video to help show you all how I find contracts. I have found a process that is a little faster in my opinion and a little more efficient that prevents you from wasting time talking to recruiters that don't really have any contracts that you like. To start out with, if you're a new travel nurse, you haven't really created a relationship with any of the travel agencies, I really recommend before you use my process, first you need to talk to a few agencies on your own. I highly recommend you picking 1 to 2 agencies that are larger companies. These are going to be, I can recommend some of the larger MSPs. This would be Medical Solutions, Cross Country, Aya, Health Trust, American Mobile. Pick 1 or 2 of those companies, sign up with them, get assigned to a recruiter, or maybe ask a friend if they have a recruiter from one of those companies. Talk to that recruiter, learn as much as you can, see what they have available, and get completely onboarded with them. That means doing the skills checklist, doing the test that they assign you, getting all your certifications and license sent over to them. And that way, if a contract comes available you could submit for it immediately. Once you talk to 1 or 2 of those agencies, I recommend you talking to 1 to 2 other agencies. These are going to be maybe your smaller agencies. Maybe you've seen a bunch of people recommend this agency, or you've heard good things. Maybe this recruiter has randomly called you and you create a good relationship, whatnot. So I highly recommend you having a complete application with 2 to 4 agencies, at least 2 being the larger agencies and 2 more specific agencies. I've talked about in the past agencies. There's not really a best one out there. They all have pros and cons, and it's just figuring out which ones are best for you and whatever you're looking for. For me, I like a few different agencies. I use Health Trust because they are the MSP for all the HCA hospitals. I know a lot of people don't love HCA, but I don't mind it. And Health Trust typically pays the highest for those contracts. In Georgia, I like to use Accountable, Premier, and Randstad. I haven't actually used Premier and Randstad, but I would in the future if they had a contract at the right time that I liked. So that's just kind of my opinion on agencies and getting started. Once you get that set up, I would, or you can start using my process as far as how I find good contracts. And basically the way I do that is I go on Facebook, I go to my groups, and I have joined several travel nurse job Facebook groups. Here's one here, the Georgia Travel Nurse RN Jobs. I use it frequently. There's also the Travel Nurse Jobs Gypsy Nurse. There's the Travel Nursing, the Premium Job Board, ER Nurse Premium Pay Travel Jobs, and Traveling Nurse Jobs 5,000 a week and up. Those are just a few that I use and kind of keep an eye on continuously. So here is what I like to do. Let's go to the Travel Nurse Jobs, the Gypsy Nurse. Notice the size of these groups too. Like this one here, it's a jobs Facebook group, and it's got almost 50,000 members. So it's a big group, meaning lots of recruiters and lots of contracts being posted here. So let's go to this group. And one thing you can do is you can just scroll through this. Notice the weekly pay, where it's at, and the agency that posts it. You'll learn a lot just by looking at these contracts. One thing to note is which agencies are paying the higher amounts, which ones are paying the lower amounts. What's the pay for certain areas? Such as here, it looks like Kansas paying almost $3,700 a week gross. So lots to learn just by looking at this stuff without even messaging. You can just read the comments and learn a lot. But here is how I find contracts. I will go to the search button in these groups, and then I'll type in my specialty. Let's say I'm an ICU nurse, and I want to find a job in Georgia. And then we're going to go to most recent. If you don't click most recent, you might be scrolling through some contracts from 2017, which won't do you any good. I'm scrolling here. It's ICU in South Carolina. All right, hold on one second. Here we go. All right, ICU Georgia. 36 hours, cities in Georgia: Thomaston, Savannah, Gainesville, Dalton, Cartersville, hourly. $82 an hour, $123 for overtime. I believe that's the max stipend, and it's a little over $4,000 a week, and that's from Jackson. So not a bad contract there. Let's see here. Let's click on this recruiters post and see what they have. Hot ICU contracts in Georgia. Carrollton, Augusta, Savannah, Thomaston. Depending on their overtime, these contracts here might be paying a little bit more. This one's 89, 87, 98, 103. That's Alliance Staffing. So as I'm going through this, I'm noting I would probably have pen and paper out, writing this stuff down or taking screenshots to go back to. Here's ICU, Atlanta, Georgia, $5,000 a week. Start date, as this is with Medical Solutions. So that looks like a pretty good one there, $5,000 a week. Once I find a few that I like, what I typically do is I will comment and just say interested, can start such and such date, or a lot of times what I will do is I will click on the recruiter's name and simply send them a message. I can say, hey, I'm very interested in ICU contract in Georgia. I typically ask, does this pay package include health insurance to start with? And ask for any other specifics to the contract at that point. I will do this. I'm not actually going to send that because I don't want to waste this recruiter's time. Let's go back. I typically would do this with 2 to 3, 4. I mean, even if you found 10, there's nothing wrong with messaging these recruiters as long as you're serious about it. Talk to them, see if you can negotiate the pay any higher. Once you get the pay negotiated, then what I would do is quickly apply to that agency. I can typically do that within the same day or have it done by the next morning, and then I'll be submitted. And that's pretty much how I find contracts. The benefits of doing of finding contracts this way is really it saves you a lot of times. Instead of signing up with several agencies, filling out their whole entire application process without even knowing if they have a contract you like, that for one will take you several hours, and if they don't have a contract you like, then that was just wasted time. So by doing this, you're only talking to agencies that have contracts you like. Usually one of the first questions that I ask them when I message them is this contract, and I'll say a specific contract. Is the Savannah, Georgia ICU contract still available? And then I'll ask for details as well. So it also encourages you to kind of swap agencies, which is a good thing in my opinion. If you found a great agency and you want to stick with them until your last day of nursing, then that is great. However, I have found that swapping agencies or being willing to swap agencies has allowed me to be paid more because my recruiters all know that if I find a contract that's paying higher at the end of my contract, not necessarily saying I will break a contract, but at the end of a contract, when I'm looking for my next one, I'm not necessarily going to stay with them just because I used them for the last contract. They have to have something that I really want. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, make sure to post them down below. Let me know what you think about this process and what kind of results you get from it. Thank you.